Greetings and welcome back for another Music Theory Bite. In this video, I'm going to show you how to sing a whole tone scale. If that sounds like something you'd like to learn how to do, then this is the video for you. Let's start by talking about what is a whole tone scale. A whole tone scale is a scale that consists entirely of whole steps from the bottom pitch to the top pitch. Why would a composer want to use a scale like this? Well, there's a certain amount of ambiguity about the scale. You're never really quite sure where the tonal center is because there aren't any half steps or asymmetry to create that sense of pointing any particular pitch towards any other. That is, there's no sense of tonic built into the scale. That ambiguity creates a very interesting sound for composers because if you think about it, most great art has a certain amount of ambiguity built into it. What you see on the surface usually has some sort of hidden meaning or double meaning that you have to figure out. And that's the fun of doing artistic analysis and artistic creation, is creating those double meanings and making them work. So our purpose, our mission as musicians is to be able to perform and use the whole tone scale and other scales like it in ways that will allow us to express ourselves and express our artistic ideas. Now that ambiguity causes a problem because most of us have been socially programmed to be able to sing major scales, minor scales, scales that point us towards tonal centers pretty easily. But when we deal with scales that don't point us towards a particular tonal center, then we're kind of going against our social or possibly even biological programming. It's a lot harder to do. So what I'm going to do today is show you a technique that you can use to learn the basic scale. Use the technique to get the sound of the scale in your ear, practice it so that eventually you'll be able to just sing a whole tone scale without having to go through all the steps that I show you. And then the final step is to be able to actually use the scale through improvisation, composition, and other means. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do when we approach a whole tone scale is to take a look at the scale and figure out if there's a way that we can use what we do naturally, that is sing in a tonal environment, to help us figure out how to sing this essentially an atonal or non-tonal scale. And if I take a look at the scale that you see on your screen, what I'll notice is that I can divide it up into three segments that have very strong tonal analogs, very strong tonal sounds. If I take the first three pitches, it sounds like the first three pitches of a major scale. 1, 2, 3. If I take that pitch and I take the next two pitches that follow it, that also sounds like a major scale, only I'm starting on the last pitch of that first group of pitches. 1, 2, 3. And likewise, the last three pitches of the scale are the same structure. I can hear that as the first three pitches of a major scale if I start on the third pitch of the previous structure. 1, 2, 3. And then I have the entire scale range figured out, taking three different segments of 1, 2, 3 from the major scale. So my first step then is to be able to sing 1, 2, 3 off my starting pitch. 1, 2, 3. Take that pitch, turn it from a 3 into a 1. 1, 2, 3. Take that pitch, turn it from a 3 to a 1. 1, 2, 3. And then I can do the same thing going backwards where I'm starting on a 3. 3, 2, 1. That 1 becomes a 3. 3, 2, 1. That 1 becomes a 3. 3, 2, 1. And I've sung the scale, the pitches of the scale, all the way up and all the way down. So the next step then is to put those together. Now I recommend an intermediate step before I just sing the scale, and that is, I call it eliding the three groups together. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So I now have sung all the pitches up and all the pitches down. The next step, of course, is to sing it using the correct syllables, and this will vary depending on what your teacher wants you to do. What I use in my classes is the atonal numbers. I use that to reinforce the sense of the atonal relationships between pitches. So what I will have students do is start on 0 and sing all the way up to 0 again, 12 essentially, but since we have octave equivalents, we're going to call that 12 a 0 at the top. So I start again, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, T, 0, 0, T, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0. And I've sung a whole tone scale up and sing the scale up and down like that. Then you have to figure out how to actually be able to use the scale. And in order to do that, I recommend that you do some improvisation work. Singing scalar passages using the whole tone scale, even getting out your instrument and playing whole tone scale and passages in the whole tone scale on your instrument. Improvisation is a great way to basically immerse yourself in the sound of a scale and get used to how it sounds, how you can use it, what sorts of musical activities you can exploit, musical characteristics you can exploit in that scale. I recommend you start with just some very basic scalar passages. Improvise some basic scalar passages in whatever key that you want to. 0, 2, 4, 6, 4, 6, 8, 6, 4, 6, 8, 10, 8, 6, 4, 4, 2, 0, 10, 0, 2, 4. So stick with all the scalar passages first. Then start to expand out into leaps within the scale. So in order to get used to the sounds of the various leaps that you can have in a whole tone environment, what I recommend is you start on a pitch and you sing each successive pitch, but come back to that original pitch after each successive pitch. And it sounds like this. 0, 2, 0, 4, 0, 6, 0, 8, 0, T, 0, 0. You can do the same thing coming down the scale. Start on that high 0. 0, T, 0, 8, 0, 6, 0, 4, 0, 2, 0, 0. And then the final step, of course, is to become used to using whole tone pitches, whole tone scales in a musical environment. And that takes, you guessed it, practice. Lots of it. Just get used to playing around in the whole tone environment, and pretty soon you'll find yourself thinking about how the whole tone scale works, what sorts of characteristics you can exploit in your improvisations and in your music, and pretty soon you'll be fairly fluent in using the whole tone scale. Well, that does it for this video. If you found it helpful, as always, please make sure you like it. Feel free to leave constructive comments below, and make sure you subscribe to my channel for the latest music theory bites as they become available. Until next time.